This week on Rockstar Superhero.
I am a fool. Blame it on me. I don't know what I thought we could be. To let go is part of.
Karin Park seems to exist on an alternate plane. It's rare that an artist can feel so singular, even when it's apparent that there is a sort of hidden musical homage to those who have influenced them before. Karin's new album, Private Collection, speaks to the soul in a profound way. The music is glassy, mesmerizing, morose, lovely, challenging, enchanting, and dare I say pure. It's a must-own and one in which I'll be listening to and sharing with my friends for decades to come. I really can't exaggerate its importance in this brave new world. You need to go buy it today. This is my lovely chat with the slight provocateur, Karin Park, and you're listening to the new Rockstar Superhero.
One of the things I've noticed about people from Scandinavia is the artistry there is revered. There's a cultural thing that occurs where the society backs it, gets behind it. You know, there's artist grants. There's all this support that doesn't seem to exist, certainly in the States. And I'm wondering how much that works out in your favor. Do you know what I mean? Do you find yourself being supported well, or do you feel like you're an outsider anyway?
I think, my husband, he's Norwegian. Mm-hmm. Norway has a lot more money to spend from the government on their artists. Sweden is a whole different ball game. Like, you have to, fight really hard to get some funding money, but you can definitely do that. It's not any enormous amounts, but it definitely helps. Like on this tour I'm going on with A.A. Williams in a few weeks, is partly sponsored by the Art Council, and I was actually surprised that they wanted to support that tour, but it's been really difficult times. I think the money is hanging a little bit looser now than before COVID, to be honest. So there is, I think, the thing is, in the States, for example, there is kind of, like, that's my impression at least, there is a market pretty close. Like, when you're in Scandinavia, it's very far to everything. In order to even, keep any of their artists, they have to kind of try and help them a little bit along the way, especially in Norway, where everything is insanely expensive. And it's the environment is really, there's 8 hours to the next city, and it's through some crazy mountains where there's only a road that's been going, for a horse and carriage type of thing. Right. And it's quite hard environment to tour in. So I think if they wouldn't have any kind of grants or stuff like that, people would just move out of Scandinavia and move somewhere closer to where they could actually, go and tour. And, Sweden always such small countries as well. It's hard to just be in Norway or Sweden. You want to get out there. You want to go to the States, or you want to go to Europe, but it just feels like everything is so far away. You have to have a little bit of startup money if you can. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think it's a sad state of affairs that we live in a world where art is a commodity for everybody but the artist. And I guess what I'm trying to say is, with something like Spotify or even YouTube, it's great that they exist because it allows an artist like yourself to be seen and heard. But if you have any significant audience, especially like on Spotify, the paying the artist per stream, I know this is an old argument, but the artist should receive the lion's share. And I get it. They've built a platform that allows you to be seen and heard, but without you, they would not exist. I wish it was a little more fair. That's, I guess, all I'm getting at is artists deserve to get paid for their creations.
The list of the richest people in Sweden, the 5 first people works at Spotify. It's insane what they earn. The top people at Spotify. I'm not even going to go into that, but I'm also
sorry.
I'm at the board of the Norwegian artist community. I'm not sure what it's called in English actually, but there's an organization for artists in Norway. It doesn't. They don't have the same in Sweden, but in Norway, they've now noticed that there's this tax that they are on all this digital music that is being sold. They, I think it's in Spain or in Portugal, where it's like a trial country, and they put some kind of tax on top, and artists find that they actually earn way more money just from the tax on digital sales than the actual digital sales themselves. So I think it's going to become a more fair. It's in the making, because it's very hard to work out these kind of structures. It's not easy either to know exactly how to navigate with this digital world. We have at the board, we have this he's basically a digital music scientist, and he works with Bob Geldof and a lot of people all the time to figure out ways to give the artists some more money. So it's not fair, but someone is working on it for sure.
Yeah. Well, I imagine though I know you've had success, and I'm not talking about money here, but I am talking about reach. You have been a pure artist in the truest sense. And it's funny that your name even means pure, or at least it does etymology wise. I don't know what it means in Swedish or Norwegian, in Scandinavian, but that's what it
does mean pure. Yeah.
Okay. But I love that the name stands for something like that, and it applies to you so clearly. How do you find the journey of being an artist and again, not the money, but the journey of being an artist in Scandinavia or in Europe, for example? Do you find that it is easy for people to consider you, that they take your style as something new and challenging, or do they struggle with it? Do they find your style, abrasive or odd? I just think it's glorious because it's so singular.
Do they think it's odd? I don't know. I think, my journey as an artist, I was thinking about it today, actually, that I grew up thinking that I was an entertainer. I knew I've been singing since I was 2 years old, and I always knew that was what I was going to do, but I didn't know. There's different types of artists. Some artists, they are like entertainers first and foremost, and they entertain with their singing or playing or whatever, or people are an artist, and then they want to say something, with their music, and they want to, it's a whole different thing to be an artist or being an entertainer. I think
Correct.
it's like
Yes.
a division there, and I always thought I was kind of maybe a little bit of both, but mostly an entertainer. But then I realized when I started making songs that, oh, this is what I truly am. Like, my voice changed the first time I sang my own song, and it sounded completely different. And I was like, where does this voice come from? And so I've been kind of holding on a bit to that entertainer part of me until I did this thing for the Eurovision Song Contest.
Right.
Then I realized, this is not my scene. Like, this is like the pinnacle of what I'm not. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because
Right.
I thought
culture.
I would. It's a whole different thing, and I totally respect Eurovision. I watch it. I've been watching it since I was a kid. And my mom, we vote for the different, do all of that. But to be in it myself, I just realized, wow, this is not me. And it was kind of a little epiphany, because then I could move on, knowing that I need to be an artist. I need to do exactly what I want to do. I need to get my own studio so that I can record exactly what I want to record. I want to create an environment for myself where I don't have to make any compromise in what I do. And this last record, Private Collection, is exactly that. There's no compromise. Every note is recorded just the way I wanted it to be. And I've played everything myself, and I've recorded everything myself in my own studio. And that's, like, to me, it's a victory for me as an artist.
Yeah. Well, it's a victory for us as listeners, as fans and as creatives ourselves, because we see that it's possible, right? There's a lot of times, I think, the older we get, and I'm much, much, much older than you, but there comes a stage in our careers, I think, where we start saying, should I keep going? Can I keep going? Why am I doing this? Right? Because I will tell you, Karin, for me personally, I chose a lot of direction wrongly based on where I thought it would get me. And I think I don't want to blame this on American culture, but there is this thing here that says it's about the success. It's about showing that you're a rock star. You're on the stage, you're bigger than life, and more about the attitude and the play than it was about the artistry. And I think I know what draws me to you is something occurred to me when I first heard your music. And if I could just briefly explain before I let you free to answer. Back in 1985, I moved to Portland, Oregon, which is a smaller town south of Seattle.
I've been there.
Okay. And
several times, actually.
Okay, great.
Go on.
Well, it's very much an artist city. It's a very liberal arts city. It's a really fantastic place. And I had never heard Laurie Anderson. I had never heard Kate Bush. I had never heard a lot of sort of dense European electronics like Jean-Michel Jarre, things like that. And long story short, a friend of mine sat me down one night in 1985, a few days before Live Aid, in fact, and he sat me down in the dark at 11 o'clock at night with a bottle of wine, and he put Kate Bush's The Dreaming on the record player. And I realized what I had been missing my entire life. There was this extraordinary noise and guttural sounds that were so terrifying and so real and so jarring. I didn't know what to make of it, but I knew I was witnessing something extraordinary. I want to apply this to you, and I hope this doesn't embarrass you. But when I heard Blue Roses a few years back, of course, I felt like I was witnessing a modernization of that Kate Bush moment. You're nothing like Kate, but you represent that same musically adventurous spirit, you know, and the willingness to go deep, to actually jump off a cliff. And you're continuing this same sort of artistic methodology, you know, being fierce and singular and really refusing to fall in line with what is traditional. So I wanted to share that with you because what draws me to you and keeps me glued to you is the fact that you seem to be relentlessly in pursuit of this artistic beauty and vision. And I'm just so grateful. It's not a question, but I am so grateful that you're here because your music pushes me and it pushes back against the grain of what's happening out there, and yet it invites us in. So it's just the best kind of dream world, you know? And so thank you for being fearless.
Wow, that's so amazing. I don't know what to say. It's like the biggest compliment that I could ever get, you know? But I do you know, fight very hard to do exactly that, and it has its price as well. And you know, I'm just so happy that people recognize that, because yeah, you know, that's kind of ultimately what you want to do. You want to touch people, and you want to share the music in a way that people can, you know, it can open your mind, you know.
Yeah.
That's what this is about in a way. And yeah, I just feel that our imagination is such an incredible place that we our society that we live in is constantly fighting our imagination and trying to shrink it into something really small. And I feel as an artist, it's like about trying to expand my own imagination and expand other people's imagination. And sometimes that's not really, when I make the music, it's not really you know, a conscious choice. Now I'm going to expand people's imagination. I'm not sitting in the studio thinking like that, but if that, you know, if that's what can happen, that's like the ultimate result for me, you know. And yeah, but it's an important quest, I think, and a fun quest. I mean, God, it's like the best job in the world.
Yeah, for sure. Well, you know, you actually are going down a road to me that sort of describes how David Lynch, the filmmaker, approaches things as well, which is this idea of, I wouldn't say pushing back against what's popular, but it's not making it easy for the consumer to understand it. And it's not to do it on purpose. It's just to say that I think the best art challenges, maybe provokes just a little, but doesn't give all the answers, because there's a beauty in discovering over time through re-listening. There's a beauty in sort of coming to terms with what a song means or stands for, you know. And you know, I mean, because for me, if I listen to your material, it's dream world music. So if I'm listening to your material, I'm going to interpret it based on where I'm at that given moment. I tend to listen to music with my eyes closed, with my headphones on. I want it to build up in me, right? And I love that you're doing that you don't give us an answer because musically it's so ambitious, you know? Yeah. It's just
That's interesting.
Gorgeous stuff to me.
That wasn't a question either. I don't know what to say to that.
No. Well, that's okay. Yeah. I mean, I'm trying not to ask you questions because I want us to have that conversation about what sort of maybe is an accident. Maybe we could do that, you know? I mean, I have a lot of questions, of course, for you, but do you find that your music sort of bubbles up out of you, that you sort of, it's like, you know, you put pen to paper and that moment, that muse, it comes into existence, and all of a sudden you start saying, what about this? What about that? And then that chord structure leads to that note cluster, right? And then that arrangement, and then that triggers a melody in your head, a vocal melody, which then triggers a thought about what the song is about. Like, what's your musical process of creation? Where do you start?
I write a lot of lyrics and music separately. Like, I write a lot of lyrics all the time, like especially sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night and then, you know, or my kids wake me up and then I can't go back to sleep. And then I get up and I'm like, oh, and then it's because that moment, you know, between awake and sleep, that's when lyrics bubbles up. And then I realize that, and then I'm like, oh, I'm going to remember this tomorrow, but I never do. So I have to go up and whisper it into my like dictaphone, or I'll just write it down. And so I write a lot of lyrics like that. But then the music is like a car. You know, when you walk outside along a road at night, and then you just see the lights, you see the lights from the car behind you first, right? So that you know that there's a car coming, and that's kind of the how the song comes to me. Like, I see the lights first, so like, okay, it's coming. I don't know what it's going to sound like yet, and I don't know what it's going to be about, but I can see it coming. So I just feel, I don't even have to turn around. I just feel it coming. And when it comes, I got to hop on, you know?
Wow.
So that I'm ready. So I just make myself ready to kind of receive the idea. And it wasn't always like that. Like, in the beginning, you're always like, when you've written a song, you're like, is there ever going to come another one? But as you get older, you learn to recognize, oh, this is the feeling just right before an idea is coming. It's the same thing. Like, when it doesn't have to be a song, but just an idea of like anything. I mean, there's so many ideas that you need to have all the time as an artist, right? About, you know, videos, or how your logos, what the logo's gonna look like, or what, you know, everything that needs to be decided. And when there's a good idea, it's like I get like these prickles on my shoulders, and that's how I know the idea is good. It's like, okay, so the universe is with me on this one, because I'm getting the prickles. That's my sign, you know.
Wow.
And so that's with the songs, like a car is coming. When it's coming, you gotta hop on, even if it's like 100 kilometers an hour, because you want to be in that car. You don't want it to just drive past.
Well, because the car's a gift.
Exactly.
Right? It just showed up, and now you have to do something with it. So get on the car and you'll figure it out.
It doesn't always feel like a gift. It's sometimes like, it's like a really shitty car that needs loads of work, and, you know, constantly needs repairing.
Yeah.
But sometimes there's like a Lamborghini driving by, but not very often.
Oh, there you go. Sure. Well, you've created a lot of Lamborghinis, so I'll give you that.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, I mean, it really, I told my wife before, we know, obviously we got together today, I told my wife, I said, I'm going to have the hardest time, because I am so into what she does, I'm afraid I will fawn. You know what I mean? That this won't be a fair conversation. It'll just be me praising you. So I'm trying to hold back. With you mentioned your husband, of course, and you mentioned your children. How much have you evolved as an artist, once you got married and then once you have kids? How much do you find that their influence in your life has altered you, or has it at all?
Oh God, so much. So like when I met Kjetil, he's such a vast personality, and he knew so much about music. He was so conservative as well. Like we really opened up. Like the first time I played him the knife, he was like, "What kind of lounge music is this?" I'm like, and now he loves the knife.
Yeah.
But it was same thing with jazz for him. Like he was like a really rock and roll metal guy. But then I started to feed him a lot of my music, and he started to not only feed me his music, but also music that he thought I would like, but hadn't heard. For example, Fat Gadget, he played me Fat Gadget, and I was like sold, totally.
Yeah. Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah, so amazing. He's introduced so much music to me, and he is not a musician like me. He approaches music in a total different way. Like he's way more. I went to music school. He didn't, so he has no sense of music theory. He just like it's more about attitude,
right?
And
street smart,
the rawness, and more about the. He's like playing with his heart, like completely open, and I think that's the sense of like his thoughts about attitude and the danger in the music has really like that's what attracted me to him in the first place. He's like this dangerous guy. You never know what's gonna come next, and I think I am attracted to that. Like I was always like very reluctant to get married, reluctant to get kids, but when I met him, I knew he will never get boring, because I hate to be bored. I really hate to be bored, but I knew life would never be boring if I married this guy, and so it was all right to have kids with him as well. And the whole process of being pregnant and the whole process of having a child and now 2 children has made me a lot more like secure in my womanhood. First of all, like I wasn't even sure like that I wanted to be a woman before I had a child, and now it's like, yeah, it's fucking cool to be a woman.
Wow.
Because you can have children and you can be pregnant.
You're creative in that regard, right? You're doubly creative because you're creating this child inside of your tummy.
Exactly. And that whole experience was such a mind-blowing thing, and it changed my body, it changed my sound, it changed my vocal, it changed my way of singing, and just got a whole new confidence that I didn't know even existed. So it's changed me in every way, I think.
Yeah, I love that you said that, Karin. It's so interesting to hear this, and it's not often that you actually are reminded that when women have children, they go through this huge process. I mean, obviously we know these things happen, but we don't think about the hormonal changes, how it could affect the timbre of your voice, right? The way you present, the resonance in your body, how the body cavity changes, right? As the womb expands with the baby. There's so many things. And then you think about the toughness that's created because you're having to go through this intense pain to birth this beautiful child, and the catharsis that comes from it, and then all of the wellspring in your brain, all these things that occur because you going through this experience, you have to be just chock full of ideas. I can't imagine ever running out of ideas for you. What do you think? Do you think it's hard?
You slightly disappeared for the last like 10 seconds there. Can you just repeat the last thing that you said?
No worries. No, I'm wondering how much, gosh, I mean, I don't know. It was freeform, man. It's not written. But no, I guess what I'm wondering is how much that, the way you changed your body and the pain that you went through, I imagine that had to be obviously significant, and really affect you in a profound way. I don't know if I don't know if it's so much a question as I'm looking for your comments on how it affected your body, how it affected your voice, and the strength that you received from going through all of that pain, the birthing process.
Well, it's changed my body, but I think maybe like what's changed me the most is to just know that I have the capability, first of all, to go through that kind of pain. I have the capability to recover from it, and I also have maybe most of all the capability of taking care of my child. Like, I am a trustworthy person that my children can depend on. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know that before. And I think that's maybe what made my voice deeper, because that confidence doesn't come from just anything. It comes like the respect for myself that I have now. It just cannot be bought for money, and I think that comes through in my music, because I feel like there's so many things throughout the days, like people that get in touch, but you have like conversations with people, and someone gets a bit mad over there, and then the t-shirts are late, and then the tour gets like there's something wrong with it. There's so many issues all the time with like little things that before used to be like a huge thing, and now it's like I'm just untouchable by these things because I'm a mother, and that's like comes before everything, and that is a very anchoring feeling, so that I can do the rest of my stuff with that calmness inside of me. Then I can kind of push everything else a bit more. And I also realize that when you become a parent, you only have so much time to spend on what you love, and I've concentrated that so much. Like the only thing that I want to do is music, except being with my kids. It's like there's nothing else that really interests me besides making music and playing music live and everything that has to do with my artistry. And I really pushed everything else aside, and it's make me realize that it's such a big passion, and I'm more passionate about it than I've ever been. I think that's also like maybe a nerve that comes through in the music. It's really urgent for me,
Yeah, and it's funny too, because the word passion means to suffer.
Does it?
It does.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and a lot of people forget that, and I'm glad I turned you on to that today. But that's actually what the word means, to suffer. And so the passion of an artist is to suffer for your creation. and it's because of how we're created as an artist. And I would, again, I'm not going to ever compare myself to you, but I still understand that the desire to create is in there. It's a madness that pushes us forward. It does not allow us to rest. Without the ability to create, we would collapse. And I like how the child and your marriage has empowered you to say nothing can stop you, which has then led to, where we're sitting today. Now you have this new album, this private collection that came out on the 7th, and it's gorgeous and extraordinary. And it feels experimental and risk taking. And I think it's really important work. So how, Can you maybe tell me, is there a general theme to what you're trying to tell us, or do you want to keep that a secret?
I don't think that I'm trying to tell people like one particular thing. It's different from song to song, and I want to touch you, and I want to touch your soul as deep as I can get, and I want to lift it up. And I want you to feel something important, and it doesn't really matter what that particular thing is. I just want you to feel your soul the way that I want to be touched by music. I mean, I think ultimately as an artist, I look at the world, and through my songs, I kind of just describe how I feel, and I describe what I see. And then, I'm hoping that that's gonna, mean something to someone, that right. My view on things is maybe gonna inspire someone else's view on
right.
thing. But it's
right.
not
that
like
will journey with you, right? That will journey with you. Yeah.
Exactly.
Wow. So do you think, here's the thing. I do want to touch on something that I find really fascinating about you. And this is not, I almost want to disclaim what I'm about to say because I don't want it to be taken incorrectly. But you're a tall woman. And what I love about your style, from everything I've seen, because I've never seen you live in person, only, through videos on the web, is that you really seem to exaggerate that in your costuming, in your stage look, in your merchandise, in your marketing. And I'm curious if that means that you are do you consider yourself maybe a provocateur?
That has a kind of a really simple explanation, and maybe not as well thought out as you might think. But I remember, like, in my early career, I wasn't too, like, I was making songs, singing them. I wasn't too aware of my appearance. I had never really put too much sort of thought into how to present myself in pictures. This was early in my career, and I just, loved singing and playing to people. So I wasn't like overthinking my appearance.
Sure.
And then I remember someone told my brother, they at a party, and he told this to me later on, like, and this guy came over. Oh, so you're Karin Park's brother? That's amazing. She seems so like cute, like she would want to come home to me and jump in my bed or something.
What?
And my brother was like, Karin, don't think she wants to jump in your bed, man.
Maybe to beat you up.
And then I was like, when he said that, I was like, oh my God, you know, if that's, you know, someone's impression of me, that I would be someone that would want to come home to them and jump in their bed, like that is really not
Yeah.
who I am. When you meet me as a person, that really is not who I am. And this was before, like, this was, you know, pre-internet times, pretty much. It wasn't when there was like loads of pictures on internet. Like, he had maybe seen me on a TV show or, you know, something like that. I don't know. But then I became more aware of that. Actually, I want to appear in photos and on stage and everything like I am in real life, because I noticed after a while that when people met me in person, it didn't quite match their expectations. They often thought that I was quite small and I was kind of cute, because the label that I was with, like this Sony in the UK at the time, they really tried hard to make me look like cute and digestible. And so I realized that for people not to be, you know, shocked by my height and my strength and my sort of, I'm not like, cute is not the word that you think when you meet me. I know that now. So I basically just wanted that people's expectations to meet, you know, what they were going to meet when they met me in real life, kind of. So that's how that started. That's how, okay, can you photograph me from like a bit underneath, because I want to look tall, because I am very tall, and I want people to know that. And then it kind of extended to, you know, tall people finding confidence in the fact that I, you know, showed my height, and that they felt like, well, if she's wearing high heels, I'm going to wear high heels too. And, you know, stuff like that. This was, you know, still early, when I was more of a pop star kind of person in Norway, which was the country that I used to live in Norway. So that's where I kind of broke through in the beginning of my career. So then I just got more and more conscious of my, you know, how I looked, and I just wanted it to be a reflection of my music and also of the person I am, and maybe a provocateur. Yeah, I'm probably, like, my personality has a bit of that, so I find it natural to dress that way as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, again, not ever having met you until today, I made an assumption there was a feeling about you, about your music, about your presence, about your online presence, about the way, you know, the kind of photos you post, that there was a little bit of a, you know, thumbing your nose at traditional thinking how a woman should be or look or present herself, because of the wrong-minded expectations of record executives, right?
Yeah.
And so I love what you do. I love the high heels on top of the fact that you're very tall, because it really turns you into an imposing being, and it makes you otherworldly, which adds to the mystique of Karin Park, if that makes sense.
You know what's really funny though? Like, now with this revolution in Iran, which I'm very moved by, but I also feel like really helpless as a white privileged woman on the other side of the world. I just feel like I don't really know how to, you know, join their revolution. I feel like I can only, you know, watch it from my studio kind of thing, and that feels awful. But I did this photo where I have like loads of hair, and it's like really out there, and I have my I'm topless, so it's like my boob is sticking out a little bit, and it's a really cool picture, and it's like the opposite of oppression, but it's like, because it is a bit of a wild picture, like my press guy immediately like, Karin, you have a different picture, like I cannot send this. I was like, well, they're definitely not gonna use it if you don't even send it, you know. But even he was a bit intimidated by it. And then I've seen some people use it, but they cut off here it's like they it's like still it's a bit too much for them to stomach, but I think that's funny.
I find it so interesting. I have to say something, because this is something I notice all the time, is when you watch movie trailers, they'll show people getting shot in the head, but they will beep out an F word.
Yeah.
I don't understand it. We're not born with guns in our hands, but we are born naked, and that's a problem.
Yeah.
You know, I don't understand, and because you even made a point just now that even though you are a bit of a provocateur, it's not like you're saying, here's my breast, and you're trying to sexualize yourself. You're just saying, here's this risk I'm taking, and I encourage you to jump in with me. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. And it's that thing where you say, where it feels like I'm jumping off a cliff. Like me and my husband, we discuss that a lot, because sometimes we release stuff that is a bit like, oh my God, is this, is this really, it feels like jumping off a cliff. And we say that to each other, like, if it doesn't feel like you're jumping off a cliff, it's probably not any good. So just do it. And
do it.
And I think it's a good, like, maybe I wouldn't be as brave without him, because he pushes me to be brave, and I push him to be brave. And I think it's important to kind of have someone there to remind you that actually it's okay to be a bit provocative, because there's enough people. And I've been, in my early stages of my career, there were people all the time who were like, oh, can you maybe sing a little bit with like a little bit lighter, and can you maybe, dress a little bit differently, and can you, can you polish this, can you polish that? And it was all very tiring, it's so much more fun with someone who just wanna kind of push and like make you do stuff that you don't really dare to do, and that's kind of how I want to live my life.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would like to ask you one more question, if I can, before I let you go.
Sure.
I heard you say that you dream about the future, and that you never look back, that it's a waste of energy, because I agree with you. It is a waste of energy, and yet human nature looks back for a lot of reasons, to compare, to contrast, right? To say, what did I do right? What did I do wrong? What have I learned, etc. But you've made it clear that you really, really do everything in your power to sort of stay away from that. And I'm wondering, do you envision an end goal? Do you care about a goal in the sense of, I'm trying to get to a place or to a feeling, or do you just create because you exist, and you're creating to see where that existence takes you?
I totally have a vision of where I want to go. I would be completely lost without it. I have to do mental training every day to even get through the day, and I haven't always done this, but I was much more emotionally unstable before I started doing that. So I do have a vision for everything that I do.
Yeah.
Live in the moment is not like I don't live much in the past, but sure. I live in the moment when I am on stage. I think that's sometimes when I'm in the studio as well, just playing around, but that's still, I'm thinking what it's going to become. I think on stage is the only time where I am 100% in the moment, and that gives me I know that people say that when they see me on stage, there's like that I'm, you know, send out this energy that it becomes very I become very charismatic, and I know it's because I'm filled with something that you can only be filled by if you're truly in that moment. And watching people, you know, doing their favorite thing, that's when they are truly in their moment. And it's a bit sad actually, because you know, I wish I could say that I'm always in the moment when I'm with my kids, or I'm always in the moment when I do this and that. But I think I'm always thinking about the future when I'm not on stage.
Yeah, well put. I'm glad that you are in the moment when you are, and when you're thinking about the future, that means we have an opportunity to experience you again. You know, it's a gorgeous, lovely thing.
Thank
as
you.
I said as I said at the top of the hour, there's a purity to you. Your name really means who you are and what you do. So
that is very, you know, that is really cool that you say that also, because I had a manager once that wanted me to change my name to like an artist name, and he was very he was insisting on this, and I in the end said to him, and I remember it so clearly, where we were talking on the phone, and he was like, you know, arguing about this. And I said, look, I just need to keep my name. I need to be who I am. I cannot be, I don't want to become someone else. I need to, you know, I need to stay true to who I am. And you know, that's why I need to keep my name as well. So it's nice that you say that. And I just also want to just ask you at the end here, like when are you at your most in the moment?
Me?
Yeah.
You know, you're going to expose me, Karin, when I'm playing my drums.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's my secret place. It's something, as I've gotten older, I have sadly done less of. I live in a very small place right now, and so my drums aren't set up here. I don't have immediate access to them, and I know that sounds like an excuse, and it definitely is. But the idea of getting out of my house and driving 20 miles to go play my drums just does not sound appealing, unless I'm really, really motivated. But at those moments when I'm sitting in the dark, because again, going back to what I said before, I love to be immersed in the moment, in where it's all in between my ears, like what I've done with your record, what I do with Kate Bush, what I do with Peter Gabriel, what I do with Laurie Anderson. When I'm sitting playing my drums, I turn off the lights, I take my shirt off, I put my headphones on, and I just play what I feel. I play along with records, I create, and it's so intimate, and it's the only time I feel really close to God, you know, my creator, you know, like I'm so grateful for those moments too, because I don't give them enough. I don't allow myself enough of that. And maybe you saying that today is the impetus I need to get back and do it more, because I admit I miss it, and you saying it right now reminds me I should be playing. So thank you.
You're welcome. I think that's important. And what an amazing thing, music, that can really connect us with God or our higher self or whatever it is. But there's definitely something that happens through the music. It's so incredible.
Yeah, it's you know, I don't want to get too off on the spiritual woods, but what I do love is I do feel like I have a knowledge that I was made for a purpose, and that purpose is artistic and creative based, and that if I'm not in that vertical, if I'm outside of it, if I'm trying to make money as a financial planner, or right, to pursue what I would call traditional leanings and you know, make money as a businessman and all this other stuff. I've tried those things and I've been miserable the entire time. Because I belong, like you, I belong immersed in the creative juice that was downloaded into me at birth.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why it's so important to keep that connection with your soul, because your soul will tell you immediately when it's off. And if you lose that connection, suddenly you don't know when things are off anymore. So it's like your guide.
Yeah. Well, you're the fourth person in the last 3 days to tell me to go play drums.
Then you know what to do.
Then I mean, if it's right in front of me, I should shut the fuck up and go play the drums.
Exactly.
Well, this has been a true honor. And by the way, I have to show you this. This is a cool shirt my daughter gave me. It says it's in my DNA, and it's a fingerprint with a drum set in the middle.
Oh, amazing.
Isn't that cool? You know, she gave it to me the other day, and for my birthday, and so I guess it is in my DNA. It's in everything I am. And thank you so much, Karin. I am so crazy happy to have met you, and I appreciate you sharing your heart and soul with me a bit today and going so long. I'm sorry I kept you the entire hour, but thank you for that.
I had such a good time. Thank you so much for your questions, and I really love talking to you.